Chief Executive Vincent, that's a pretty quick summary. I can answer other questions that exist.
Thank you very much, Pat. Are there any questions for Mr. Corcoran? Commissioner Foley?
Thank you. I guess I brought some questions up to you this afternoon. I didn't attend your meeting on that, but at the same time, I appreciate the offer to explain your position as NorthWestern Energy. And this is an awkward position for me because, number one, I'm not an expert on when it comes to utilities and prices and regulations and things like that. But at the same time, I think the commission and the community and the entire state needs to look at there's other issues out there as well. Not everybody fully agrees that this is in the best interest. I'm not saying that I agree with him, but I think it's important that this body looks at that and looks at other sides. If you look at the media, other than Montana Standard, across the state, many newspapers are saying that, we're not quite sure with this. There's some quotes there, and then you can maybe comment on this, but particularly John Winston, an economist hired by the Montana Consumer Council to analyze the deals and claims by NorthWestern that the purchase benefits customers based on assumptions that may not come true, such as future carbon taxes and lower maintenance costs. If these assumptions are false, and Wilson said that these are entirely possible, customers will pay $600 million to $800 million more for electricity than if NorthWestern acquired it from another source than buying the dams. Now again, that's one person's opinion, but I think it has to go on the record to know that, because as commissioners, we're very proud of having NorthWestern Energy as a major employer in this community. But as commissioners, we're also representative of the ratepayers out there, not only throughout our district. So that's something that has to be considered. And I'm not here to oppose it, but I brought it to the attention because I think that, everybody assumed that this is a positive deal. And no disrespect to NorthWestern Energy, but we also have to remember that we were sold a bill of goods sales by the former Montana Power Company that getting rid of the dams was a good idea and to de-invest, as you talked about. So I think as a citizen, as a ratepayer, I think we have to be cautious and we have to look at all issues. So not necessarily a question unless you want to comment on the Consumer Council's feeling on this. And there's been steps there that they've asked for more information. I know that you have actually, NorthWestern Energy has said, no, we don't need to do that. And that's what following the process, and as you said, lots of analysis of it. So, do you have a comment on
Commissioner Foley, just real quickly, the Montana Consumer Council is by the state constitution is an advocate for consumers in proceedings before the Montana Public Service Commission. They've hired consultants and economists from the Washington, D.C. area, been involved in a number of their cases over the years, and another consultant from the Florida area, and those are their primary two representatives. Dr. Wilson, an economist, has taken issue with a number of items, which of course we completely disagree with, excuse me. No way, no how do we agree with carbon's an interesting one, but I think he's putting a pretty interesting twist on it, because he's characterizing the tax as a tax. First of all, it's not a tax. It's clearly evident around here, and if there's anybody in the room that disputes this, we've talked about it more, that we're not in a world where environmental regulations exist today, and they're probably going to continue to exist and accelerate in the future. You see that every day in the newspaper, on TV and the likes, and the particular target is coal. And so market prices today have increased because of that. And so Dr. Wilson's suggesting, if Dr. Wilson's suggesting that that's not going to happen, he's wrong. The evidence clearly supports that that's not the case, but he's made that argument. It's not a tax. What we've done in the transaction is we looked at buying the hydros at the market value of those assets. Because if we didn't buy them, I can tell you somebody else would, because of the characteristics and nature of those assets. Who wouldn't want 100% environmentally friendly, most preferred hydro generation asset in the country, probably in the world? And so they're going to pay the price for that. If we don't buy it, there's utilities in the Pacific Northwest, in the state of Washington, as an example, where their governor wants them to get out of all of the coal that they own. Some of them have ownership of the coal plants in Montana. Therefore, they have transmission access from Montana to the West Coast. So assume for the moment that they shut those plants down, they come back and bid on those assets. They have extreme value to them, just as we do. We're buying 50% of our power in the marketplace. Where's a lot of it coming from? Coal. And so when you think about, the automatic benefit that asset provides to the transaction, it's important. What we've done in order to compare a $900 million purchase price to that is what we would have paid if we compare that if we had built our own gas plant. Gas plant's more expensive than the hydros. Compare that to a projection of what you think future market prices might be. Well, included in our projection is an assumption that those prices are going to increase from supply and demand, and because of the impact on those prices, from environmental regulations. That's the issue. He disagrees with that. And when that happens. And so I can tell you pretty easily that, that's a real problem. We expect it to happen in the future. We have a one-time opportunity to buy these assets. It's probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of us here, of course. If the regional utilities can buy it, there's financial institutions, some of them called hedge funds. Hedge funds that go out and make investments like this. If a hedge fund comes in and buys it, what are they going to do with the power? They're going to sell it in the marketplace. They're going to sell it in the marketplace during a time period when market prices are going to be going up. Who's going to be in the place of that to buy that power? NorthWestern on behalf of its customers. And so, we understand his positions. We agree with them. And then the final point that I would make is that Dr. Tom Power, he's an economist from Missoula, professor at the University of Montana for years in that environment. He's intervened in cases since I've been at the power company back in 1995, and he's normally hasn't been too much of a friend and more of a foe with all of the things. Dr. Tom Power has intervened in the case on behalf of a couple organizations. He has taken on Dr. Wilson's testimony, speaking it directly to the points that I just made in the summary for him. And so it's a complicated case, number of technical matters, but I think we've worked hard to dismiss and make the case as to why this transaction makes sense. But that's a big one.
I guess another way to look at it is we were told by Montana Power Company it's a good idea to regulate, and Montana Power Company was told by Goldman Sachs out of New York City, well, the people that are being hired on behalf of our Montana Consumer Counselor from Washington, D.C. telling us it's not a good idea to buy these dams. I guess having been at the information session and done my own set of homework on this, I feel strongly that this is definitely something that we need to support and certainly trust the many Montanans, the hundreds of Montanans that are working for NorthWestern Energy and their corporations. Due diligence that they've done on this proposal even though they're allegedly advocating on behalf of our Montana Consumer Counselor hired out of Washington, D.C. Commissioner McDonough.
Thanks, Chief Executive. I was at the listening session too and heard both the Montana Consumer Council and NorthWestern Energy present both sides of the case. And, as a citizen and as a commissioner here at Butte-Silver-Bow, I'd just like to go on the record in full support of the letter and proposal considering the investment that NorthWestern Energy is making in our community, as well as assuming or pledging to assume all of the PP&L employees that also reside and pay taxes in our community. And I think that with the years and years of experience and knowledge from the Montana Power now transferred over to NorthWestern Energy, that these folks are looking out for the best interest for not only ratepayers in Montana, but they're looking out for our best interests. And I'm in full support of this letter moving forward. I think it sends a great message to the state, and I would assume that there would be many communities that would follow our lead and jump on board, seeing that rates not only affect our communities, but these assets are in their counties as well, so full support.
You want to put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion at this time that we concur with the chief executive's letter of support and place on file.
Motion and a second. Is there anything further on this question? I would add, I meant to state during my chief executive report, another piece of unrelated yet related information is that the groundbreaking for the new general office building is going to be Thursday, May 22nd at 11 o'clock at the corner of Park and Main. So seeing nothing further on the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Chief Executive and members of the commission appreciate an opportunity to speak to you pretty quickly about that and your support for the transaction. Thank you very much.